So let me ask you a question. What do you think the most dangerous prayer is that you could pray? Interesting question, right? When I ask that question, I tend to get answers like, use me, or your will be done, not mine, God, or a myriad of other things similar to that. So I find myself in El Salvador this past June, and it's Tuesday morning. It's the day before my men are going to arrive into the city. I've got 15 men from Riverbend coming to join me. We're going to be doing a major project in the community that we work in, and we're going to then take 100 men to the coast and have a men's summit, and it's going to be a powerful week. But this Tuesday, the day before they arrive, I've purposely scheduled as one of those days where I have nothing planned. Absolutely nothing on the agenda other than the pastor's going to pick me up in the morning and he's going to take me to the church and the school, and we're going to see where it goes from there. So at breakfast or before breakfast, I kind of get on my knees and I say, okay, Lord, today is your day. Today is the day that you have made, and Lord, I'm dedicating it to you. Lord, I pray that you would have that antenna up on the back of my neck, that I might be cognizant of the people that you bring in front of me. Give me the eyes to see. Give me the ears to listen, especially to hear. Give me the heart for compassion, to break for the things that break yours, Lord. And if necessary, Lord, give me the words to speak that I might need to speak. And that was my prayer that day, and seems like a simple prayer, but it's, as you can imagine, a pretty dangerous prayer, because you're basically saying, okay, Lord, I'm yours, whatever you got, bring it. And so off I go. And so I arrive at the church and the school and say hi to a few people and such, and it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. And a couple of the missionaries that we support, Salvadorian men and women that work in the colonia, come up to me and say, hey, Norm, we're going to go do a couple house visits to visit some people in need. Would you like to come with us this morning? And I said, sure, I'd love to do that. But I said, can we make a stop first? There's a part of the colonia that we're working on. We're going to be creating this sports court, and when my men arrive tomorrow, I want to be able to take them out there, show it to them, and then Thursday we're going to spend all day working, converting this former killing field into a sports court for children. That's a whole nother story. But could we stop by there? I want to meet the men that are working there, that are prepping the area, and just kind of get my sense of where we are so I can best direct the men when they arrive. And they say, sure, no problem. So we go off to this field. It's in the center of the colonia. It's kind of a dirt lot between two buildings, and there's about, I don't know, 8 or 9 people that are working there. They're shoveling some cement, they're building some retaining walls and some steps and things like that. And so I go up and the translator introduces me to them and talking to them a little bit about their backgrounds and thanking them for their work. And one of the men turns to me and he says, Pastor, he says, would you do me a favor, please? He says, my brother lives 2 blocks from here. And last night, he decided to tell the gangs that he wanted to come out of the gangs. He had converted to Christianity, and he no longer wants to be a part of the gang. And now he's sitting at home waiting their determination. Well, I knew what that meant. In El Salvador, there's, when you tell the gangs that you want out of the gangs, there's only one of 2 ways that's going to go. They're either going to shoot you and kill you, or they're going to let you go. But when you tell them that you want to come out of the gang, you have no idea which way they're going to go. And so one of the problems we've had as we've come alongside gang members and shared the message of Christ is they may want to turn their lives over to Christ, but as we start to talk about how they live their lives differently and they no longer are their old self, they're now a new self and can no longer be part of the gangs, that's when it starts to get really unnerving, as you can imagine, and because they don't know if that's their death sentence. And so anyway, I tell this young man, of course I'll go visit your brother. And so we start heading over there, and as you can imagine, my mind's now racing. I'm like, Lord, I've never been equipped for anything like this. What in the world am I supposed to say? I mean, I have absolutely no idea, no clue how I'm supposed to handle this situation. So I'm just saying, Lord, you got to be in it somehow, some way, because I'm lost. And so we get there, and we walk in the house, and I get to meet Julius. Julius is 21 years old. He's married to Michelle. They're married for 1 year. They've got a 1-year-old baby. They're sitting on 2 stools holding hands. Julius's leg is beating a mile a minute. For a Salvadorian, his face looks white. He's surrounded by some other women. It turns out one's his sister, one's her sister, her mother, their grandmother, and there's about 6 or 7 women in the house surrounding Julius. And they're all sitting there waiting. And so as we get to know them, I learn that the women in the house are all Christian, and that Julius was the last one to give his life to Christ. And obviously he tells me the story that he had let the gangs know last night, and now he's just waiting their determination. And so it dawned on me that, years ago, the Apostle Paul, towards the end of his life, he was in prison, and he had been beaten, and he had been tortured, and he was near death. And I remember him praying this prayer that went something like, Lord, if it's my time to go, I've led a good life, I'm going to be with you, Jesus. What else could be better? I'm ready, Lord, take me. And yet he also prayed, Lord, if it's not my time to go, well, there's still lots of prisoners and guards and others that I can witness to. And so I'm happy to keep living and keep sharing your good news. And so Paul felt like he was in a win-win situation, whether he lived or whether he died. And so I was sharing that with Julius and Michelle. And then it dawned on me, and I went further to say, Julius, 10 years ago, I was back in Texas, and I was on a hospital bed. It was 9 o'clock at night, and my wife had just left me. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, they were going to wheel me into the operating room, and they were going to cut open my chest, and they were going to pry open my ribs, and they were going to pull out my heart, and they were going to attempt to repair it, and then sew it back up, and hook it back up, sew it back up. And honestly, I didn't know if I was going to live or die through that surgery. It was scary. It was really, really scary. But I remembered the story of Paul, and I remember thinking, Lord, if it is my time to go, I've had a great life. I have a great family. They're all Christian. I'm going to be with them for eternity. Our time on earth is just a blip compared to eternity. And I'm going to be with you, Christ. What could be better? And yet if it's not my time to go, then Lord, I want to live for you. I want to serve for you. I want to share your message of grace, Lord. And obviously over the last 10 years, God's enabled me to do that. And so I remember this tremendous sense of peace that just calmed everything in my spirit, just transcended everything as I thought about, hey, I'm in that same win-win place that Paul was in. And so I turned to Julius's wife and I said, Michelle, hopefully you can have a sense of that same peace, knowing that if the gangs take Julius's life tonight, that it's gonna hurt. You're gonna grieve. But your time here is just a short time before you'll be reunited with him again and with all of your family, and you'll be with Jesus in a place of no pain and of glory and of just pure joy forever, for eternity. And I turned to Julius and I said, I don't know if this brings you peace, brother, but I'm hoping that it does. And know that I will be praying for you. And we got down on our knees and we prayed together as a family, and we left. And it was interesting, a couple days later, I said to one of the missionaries, I said, so what's going on with Julius? And he said to me, well, Norm, they haven't made a determination yet. Sometimes this takes months. And my heart sunk, and I imagined months. Can you imagine waiting for months for this determination? Well, 5 days later, I was at church on Sunday night. It was the last night we were in El Salvador before the men and I all headed back to Austin. And in walks Julius and Michelle, hand in hand. And Julius just gives me a thumbs up. And I don't know if the thumbs up meant that he was declared free to go, or if the thumbs up just meant that he had that peace in him and he was okay with whatever God decided or the gangs decided would happen. You pray those prayers and you say, God, use me, God, whatever you got. There's no way I could have envisioned being in that place. There's no way that I had any plans to meet with Julius and Michelle if I had not made myself available. There's no way that I could have manufactured those stories ahead of time. The Spirit just kind of landed on me, gave me the words, gave me the thoughts, prompted me, and it was powerful, and powerful in their lives, powerful in my life. I come back to Austin so encouraged, so enthused that our God can transcend all circumstances. So make yourselves available. Pray that dangerous prayer.